So, is this what Justice League should have been from the beginning? Yes and no. Why not? Well, I'll answer that later. First of all, let's talk why the Snyder Cut is awesome. But before I get into that, I'll just say that I don't usually give superhero movies a 10 or a 9, so I don't want to call this one a masterpiece. Because in my mind, it isn't. It's still good though. One thing's for sure, it's way better than what we got in 2017, and way better than what the DCEU has been releasing for the past 8 years. But back to the point. Can I just say that Zack Snyder fixed so many problems I have with the DCEU itself? First of all, villain. I'm so happy that Steppenwolf was redone and his history changed. In the original movie, he was the big bad and basically the typical villain, being bad just for the sake of being bad. Now Steppenwolf has motivation. He wants to prove himself to Darkseid, so he comes to conquer Earth. And by the way, I'm glad that they changed Steppenwolf to Darkseid in the flashback scenes. It just makes much more sense when Darkseid is presented as the big villain and Steppenwolf only his servant. Of course, when Darkseid was defeated, why did none of his underlings mark Earth as the planet with the anti-life equation? Whatever, back to my boy Steppenwolf. He looks extremely cool with the new armor. He gives off this villain vibe that was non existent in the original. Steppenwolf was so boring and forgettable, and I'm glad that they fixed him. Also, his eyes are so cute. If I'm being honest, the original Justice League was so mediocre that after watching the movie, I forgot half of it. And I remember thinking, what did I just watch? Like, I wasn't invested in it at all. It just seemed so distant, so superficial. Thankfully, now I cannot really call it shallow anymore because I got what I wanted: good setup and character background. In my video about the DCEU, my main point was that everything in this universe seems rushed and underdeveloped. So, thank you, Zack Snyder, for proving me right when I say that the management board, or whatever you call the bosses, is at fault for the horrible universe and character setup. I loved the new cyborg scenes. It was moving and showed the background and heart of the character. In 2017 Justice League, I didn't care about him because I didn't know anything about him besides that he considers himself a monster. In the Snyder Cut, he feels fleshed out, well developed, and truly human. The extra Aquaman scenes were quite important too and really helped us understand his life, though I still believe the Aquaman movie should have been made before Justice League. Extra Flash scenes are always great. But what about the story? Well, even though the movie is 4 hours long, it didn't feel slow or boring. It actually feels complete. And the final fight between the Justice League and Steppenwolf, in my opinion, is way better than before. There are no BS civilians that have to be rescued. Superman's arrival is really cool and not the cringe stuff we got in the original. Steppenwolf's death is better. You know how his head got chopped off? Good stuff. Just overall, the build up and character development in the Snyder Cut is exactly what the DCEU lacks. They should take note of that. Also, Martian Manhunter? Yeah, give me more of that. Why wasn't he in the original? Okay, now let's jump to the end. The dystopian future epilogue is incredibly good. We see villains and heroes working together against evil Superman. We get hints that this happened because Lois Lane died and Darkseid corrupted Superman. I mean, this scene is exactly what I mean when I say that the management don't have any idea how to set up a universe or future movies. This scene proves to me that Zack Snyder understands how to do that and does it well. I watched this scene and want more. I'm excited. I'm thinking how and why this happened. Hungry fans is what the franchise needs. Just please let Zack Snyder do his thing. Honestly, all the DCEU directors and bosses need to learn from Snyder about universe and franchise building. And yet, with me, there's no praise without criticism. Not my favorite part, but it has to be done. Am I the only one that thinks the DCEU CGI is quite bad? Like, I see people praising Aquaman CGI, which I consider just meh. Of course, in the Snyder Cut, Steppenwolf's and all the main characters CGI is amazing, but the background and lighting is just so weird. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Let's move on from that. So, while I like most of the changes that Snyder did, I'm disappointed that some things were left out. For example, Aquaman sitting on a lasso of truth,
I've been a loner my whole life, but being part of something bigger like this.
or this,
I'm not the one who brought a pitchfork.
or more important things like this.
Superman.
Superman was a beacon to the world. Why aren't you?
Honestly, it felt kinda weird that in the Snyder Cut no one really opposed bringing Superman back, something I missed from the original movie. And Bruce Wayne arguing with Diana about it is exactly like his character. In the Snyder Cut, Bruce just seems kind of too soft. He doesn't argue with anyone, doesn't scold anyone, doesn't get angry or insult someone. I don't know, that's not really like him. So yeah, him being cool with everything and everyone was weird to me. Oh, and also scenes like this I really miss from the original.
You got a team here.
Superman can bring this team together better than I ever could. His strength
Doesn't matter how strong you are or what abilities you might
is
have.
more human than I am.
Furthermore, I don't know why Snyder changed the first meeting between Lois and Clark. In the original, Lois was brought there by Alfred as a contingency plan, which again is something that Batman would do. It's his character. In the Snyder Cut, she's just there coincidentally? Okay, I guess. I didn't really like that. Let's come back to the first sentence I said. Should Justice League have been like the Snyder Cut from the beginning? I said yes and no. So, why not? Well, you can't exactly compare these two. One is 2 hours long, the other is 4 hours long. One was released in the cinemas, the other on a streaming platform. One you watch on a big screen in a cinema hall, the other relaxing at home. The Snyder Cut on a streaming platform is good because people at home can watch it easily. Watching a 4-hour movie in a cinema would be impossible. It doesn't matter how much diehard fans argue this point, you can't change the truth. No person would want to sit 4 hours in a cinema hall. Endgame was 3 hours long, and that was really the limit because your bladder is exploding by the end of it. So, let's say we remove 1 hour of footage from the Snyder Cut. Do we get the same experience? Honestly, even if we remove all the slow motion and unnecessary scenes, we would still have to cut a lot of important footage. Not a good solution. But what's the point I'm making with this? Well, Justice League is simply overambitious. They're trying to put too much in a relatively short time. Three new main characters, no, major main characters are introduced and have to be developed in a single movie, and then a villain has to be built up, the history told, and then comes the main story. It's basically the fourth movie in the franchise if we don't count Suicide Squad, but already 6 major characters are here. We're talking about Justice League founding members in the comics. Like, why? It's too fast. As I said, I think Aquaman should have been made before Justice League, perhaps even the Flash movie, because we see that Barry runs faster than light and rewinds time, which is something he could only do with years of training. Then Justice League could have introduced Cyborg and told his full story, which is awesome by the way. Steppenwolf's and Darkseid's background and easily fit it under 3 hours, which means it's a theatrical cut, which means money from tickets. Okay, that's it. Bye bye.